Finding journal articles. There are 3 steps to finding journal articles. First, you identify what the main ideas of your research question or topic. So your main ideas means when you retrieve articles, what topics do you want to make sure your article covers? You can also call that your key concepts. So then you use keywords and synonyms you put those in the search box of the database to help you retrieve articles. So sometimes your keywords will be the exact words you used in your research question. Sometimes you may need to kind of rethink how to word whatever your main ideas are in order to be able to actually get results from the database. But usually however you worded it in your research question, usually you can probably just use those same words or phrases. And sometimes you may need to think of other ways of saying it. You may need to include synonyms for your concept as well in your search. And we're going to go over that in this video. Finally, you connect those terms. You create this list of terms, of possible terms, and then you connect those terms with and, or, and sometimes not. So our topic is bidirectional immunization data exchange. The first step is to identify what are our main ideas of our topic. So in other words, what words do we want to use, any articles we retrieve, what topics we want to make sure that article covers. So I decided that my main ideas are immunization and data exchange. I decided to ignore bidirectional for right now. I just wasn't sure if that was like a really important topic or if that's something I can kind of get an idea about as I retrieve some articles and things like that. So I decided to go with those 2. If I really was getting a lot of results, then I would have added another topic to it, added the bidirectional to my search as well. But I decided just to start off, I start with just immunization and data exchange. So when you're trying to decide what are your main ideas, think about, look at the nouns that are in your sentence, that are in your topic. So ignore verbs, adverbs, adjectives, and try to focus on the nouns. Those kind of give you that helps you figure out what the main ideas are. That's a good starting point. And then kind of go from there. So next you use keywords and synonyms. So keywords means you just put things in your natural or common language to find articles. So things like cancer, ADHD, stroke, heart attack, things like that. There are some advantages and disadvantages of searching this way. So some advantages of searching this way is that you get to use your own natural language, that natural way of speaking, so that can be kind of easy. You can also use keyword searching when it's a trend or something new that just came out. It searches across multiple fields at the same time, so it's searching the title of the article, the abstract, the journal title, all those different places, author name, author affiliations, all those different places at the same time. You can also search for word variation. So if you type in the root of the word and you add an asterisk on the end, it'll retrieve multiple endings. So for example, if I did VACCIN with an asterisk on the end, it'll retrieve vaccinate, vaccinated, vaccine, vaccination, things like that. So I don't have to type in all those different words. It'll, by adding the asterisk to the end, it'll bring in multiple endings. And then finally, you can use it in combination with other synonyms. And so, for example, if I want to get articles on immunization, I can also add in vaccination, so I can get articles that cover both of those topics. Now, sometimes what could be an advantage can also be a disadvantage. So because it's searching multiple places at once, and because you're putting in multiple words, sometimes you may get irrelevant results that are not really on your topic, especially if your word depends on how your word is used in context, because when you're doing keyword searching and you put that word in the search box, you're telling the database, if you find that word, I want you to give me that particular article. But the database doesn't know what context the word is being used in. So sometimes, you may retrieve articles that include that word, but it may not be in the correct context that you want. So you're getting sometimes some false hits. And then also sometimes, you may need to put in multiple synonyms in order to find articles on your topic. Sometimes the first word you use, you may not find very many other authors who use that same word to describe your particular concept. So you may have to think about what are other ways people may have said that. You may need to add that into your search. Speaking of synonyms, so when you want to come up with a list of synonyms, how do you figure them out? How do you brainstorm synonyms, and why do you need to do it? So think of this In the middle of this picture is a cold winter day, and to the right and to the left are things I can use to keep my legs warm. And whenever I ask students to describe what they see, I hear things like sweater tights, leggings, stockings, things like that. We're looking at the same picture, but we are finding different ways to describe it. And so some people who are writing on your topics, they're doing the same thing. They may find a different way to describe it, but they're talking about the same thing. So sometimes it helps you to kind of think about other ways of saying it. So where do you look for synonyms? Some of it comes from your professional expertise. You know what people in your field tend to say. You can also check websites. You can just do a Google search and try to find some synonyms. You can look at review articles. So there's something called a systematic review. And in a systematic review, they're supposed to report their search strategy. So sometimes you can find articles on your topic and see what words they used in their search. Now, you don't have to find a systematic review on your exact topic, but that's part of the reason you break down your main ideas and you go main idea by main idea and you try to find a systematic review on like each main idea to kind of get ideas on what words they use to try to find articles on that particular topic. And then finally, you can use a database thesaurus and it can give you some ideas. So we'll go over how to do these things. So first, a website. So if I wanted to find what are other ways of saying data exchange, I can type data exchange synonym in Google, and that's what I have in the yellow rectangle. And when I did that, I have a list of results that came up. I can browse through those results and get ideas for other phrases I can use. And so where I have the red arrow, those are some other phrases I can use. If I want to say data exchange, I can also try using data interchange as well. Another option is systematic review. So as I mentioned, so number one is a search box in Pubmed, and I have information exchange. So I tried data exchange and I didn't get anything with that. So then I tried information exchange. And so I put information exchange in quotation marks because that's one way to tell Pubmed that I needed to look for that as a phrase. I put TI in brackets behind it because that's how I tell Pubmed to look for that phrase only in the title. And the same thing with systematic review. Another way I can tell Pubmed to look for something as a phrase is I can put a dash between the words. And again, I put the TI in brackets behind it. And so then I click search. I got a list of results and I chose this one, looked interesting to me. So from here, I look to the right where it says number 2, and I'm going to go to the full text of the article because that's where I find the information that I need. So in the full text, I have one of two places I'm going to look. Either I'm going to look in the supplementary materials section or I'm going to look in the methods section. And what I'm looking for is, I want to know exactly what words they used in their search. So in this particular article, in their search strategy, they told me that their search strategy is listed in their supplementary materials. And when I went there, in the black box, you see those are the words they reported that they used to describe the concept of information exchange. And so I can add that to my list. And then finally, I can try a database thesaurus. So this is a screenshot of the Pubmed homepage. I look in the lower right and it says mesh database. I click on that link. And then from there, I type in immunization. And then from there, I get a list of results that possibly match the word I typed in. So it's really important that I read the definitions that are presented, and I should select the one that matches my main idea, what kind of articles I want to retrieve. So although I put in immunization into the box, I decided to select vaccination. So from vaccination, I can go to entry terms. I want to scroll down to where it says entry terms. That's where you look to get ideas for other synonyms. Again, you don't have to use everything they give you. You don't have to use any of what they give you. These are just some places you can go to get ideas on to add to your search. Now, I will say with this, you want to make sure that you put it in the natural order. So notice under entry terms, the second one says immunization, active. You would ignore that because, when you're putting in a word into Pubmed, you're literally telling the database you need to find this word or phrase in the title or the abstract or whatever, and you're not going to find, like an author's not going to say immunization, active. They're not going to say that. So you can just ignore that one and just pick the ones that are in natural order. So these are just some ideas you can have. All right, so using the things that I mentioned above, here's a list that I came up with. Again, I don't have to use all of these options. I don't have to use any of these options, but it just kind of gives me some ideas that if I put in a search and I don't get any good results, I can, try a different phrase or a different word. So here's some more tools that you can use. We already went over 1 and 2, so I'm not going to go over that again. But the last one here that says a dash and an asterisk, so you can combine the phrase searching with the word variation function. And so what you do is you put a dash between the two words, and then at the end of the second word you can put an asterisk on the end and it'll retrieve multiple endings. So for example, if I put data dash exchange with an asterisk on the end, it will retrieve data exchange as well as data exchanges. Finally, I combine the terms using and, or, and sometimes not. So what it does is if I want to expand my search, I use or, and I can say if I put into the search box treatment or therapy, it will retrieve anything that has the word treatment, anything that has the word therapy, and anything that has both. So you see I'm getting more. On the other hand, if I use and, it's only going to retrieve those that have to use all three of those terms. So if I say aphasia and stroke and treatment, it's only going to retrieve this little bit in the middle that has to use all three of those terms. And not should be used very carefully. You use it if you have a broader concept and there's a subset that you know you don't want. So for example, if I wanted articles on diabetes, but I did not want hypertension, then I can say diabetes, not hypertension, and it should only give me articles that are about diabetes, and it should not include articles that have hypertension. So using all those different things, I combine it in this way. So you put like terms together in a parentheses that tells the database look inside the parentheses first and then go outside the parentheses. So you can literally, after you've constructed this search, copy this and paste it into Pubmed and look at and review your results and decide whether they work for you. I copied the search strategy that was in the PowerPoint and I pasted it here and I clicked search and I'm getting 204 results. So I'm kind of looking through the results. Some of them seem relevant, some of them don't seem relevant. So one thing I could do to reduce my number of results is I can use the filters that are on the left. I can do that. Or I can also, as I mentioned, that I can tell the database to look right now, the database is searching everywhere. Title, abstract, author name, author affiliation, journal title, all those places at the same time. So that's why my results seem kind of like all over the place. But if I want to make them more targeted, I can tell the database, look in the title, as I did before, I showed you earlier. I can say look in the title, or I can put TIAB behind every word or phrase, and that tells it to look in the title, only the title and the abstract. And so once I do that, I'll get less results and they'll be more targeted. I put TIAB behind everything and now I'm getting 108 results and the results seem better, and I can just kind of browse through those results and decide are any of them, is that what I like.